Hello and welcome to LAT's Weekly Market Insights. With indice markets holding firm and posting modest gains following on from the sharp correction previously seen, attention has shifted somewhat this week towards the euro as Christine Lagarde and the ECB were in action. Whilst the unchanged rate decision did little for the markets, all focus was on how Lagarde would respond to the ongoing challenge from European central bank policymakers who continue to warn against complacency over low inflation and highlighted risks from a strong euro. Euro dollar took the response in its stride and pushed higher as Lagarde insisted the currency rate was discussed throughout. However, they would not be targeting an FX rate, reinforcing that the ECB's mandate is price stability. As we look to the chart, we can see the continuation of this major uptrend. The 4-hour channel coming into question and being broken during this week. However, that previous higher low but maintains the uptrend held firm at 117.53 before bouncing back and seeing that bullish charge that came out of the press conference yesterday. All of the gains that were made from that press conference were given back last night in a corrective move towards the tail end of the session. However, early this morning, we are seeing that buying pressure start to come back into the market. Previously on this chart, we'd seen the higher highs and higher lows, which enforced that major long-term uptrend. Whilst we've now broken through that trend line, through that channel support, we have failed to break that higher low. A break of that higher low could potentially open up further downside moves towards the 115, 116 handles and those nice psychological round numbers. For the first time here in euro dollar, we are starting to see some weakness with this potential lower high. Should this break, this would be a completion of a head and shoulders formation, a bearish reversal pattern. And again, the MPO from that head and shoulders down to the neckline puts us at that 115 region. Now, we introduce some secondaries to this. We can reassure ourselves and reaffirm that position by introducing pivot points. These monthly pivot points here providing great entry levels on the break of the S1, and S2 sat perfectly at that 116 handle and S3 at that 115 handle. Now, if we needed additional confirmation for this to break lower and the reversal of this trend, we could of course have a look towards our moving averages, and we can see for the first time since the lows back here in May of this year, we are starting to see a potential cross. Should we see this death cross and the 50 moving average cross below the 200, that could provide increased confirmation. But when this support level does break, we see that larger corrective move. Things to be mindful of today. Chief economist and board member Philip Lane is speaking this afternoon at 1 p.m. He previously has been very vocal regarding the inflationary risks that come with an overvalued euro. All eyes will be on this to see if comments will prompt further selling pressure, much the same as we saw in the last leg down. If we remember rightly from last week, this sell-off, whilst technical off the highs of this channel, this aggressive sell-off also prompted by some of Philip Lane's previous comments regarding the overvaluation of the euro. Cable, which was technically shaping up much the same way, has had a slightly less fortunate week. It failed to find support at the previous lows and at that trend line, breaking lower and breaking significantly lower to fresh 5 weeks lows. This has been prompted after the EU gave the UK until the end of the month to amend legislation that would violate the Brexit withdrawal agreement. Little to no support as of yet. We'll be waiting to see if these Fibonacci retracements from the daily time frame, we have that 61% retracement, and this previous multi-month, multi-year support level comes into question. Can the dollar weaken? Will the dollar weaken, or is the dollar going to continue to strengthen with euro dollar potentially looking to break lower and therefore potentially dragging cable with it? All eyes towards this 61% retracement and that support for a potential bounce and continuation of the larger term trend here in cable. As we look across the economic calendar and into next week, we'll be looking towards the FOMC, got a rate decision Wednesday night, straight then into home soil here, the Bank of England rate decision on Thursday at midday. So big impact, high impact data on the calendar for next week. We'll tackle that in our stride, and we'll take it in our stride next week when we see what the charts are offering and presenting. In the meantime, that's all from us here at LAT. Have a really nice weekend, and we'll be back with you same time next week.